This is the Power Circuit. This program is specially packaged by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to enlighten you about what this power utility company does. It also reflects the efforts of the Honorable Minister of Power as he works to add value to the Nigerian power sector. The headlines. Representatives tour TCN transmission substation projects in Kano. TCN's capacitor banks improve power supply in Akpo, Kefi environs. We've got a special report on this in this edition. On the interview segments, we'll bring you a session with the MD CEO of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, NEMCO, on its activities. Please follow through on this program for your viewing delight. I am Chinwenwa Anyanwu, and together we will be staying on for this program. This is the Minister's desk. The management of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, NELMCO, led by the Managing Director, Mr. Adebayo Fagbemi, recently paid a visit to the Honorable Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, at the Powerhouse, where they presented the Gold Level Award given to them by the Bureau of Public Service Reform, BPSR, for their implementation of the federal government's self-assessment tool, SAT. NELMCO, an agency under the supervision of the Minister of Power, is the first and only agency to receive a gold level award from the BPSR, as they scored an impressive 86.5%. BPSR, under the watch of its Director General, Mr. Dasuki Arabi, is determined to identify and reward MDAs that are embracing such reform policies. In his remarks, Engineer Maman said the implementation of SAT by NELMCO was highly commendable, and that he was hopeful that other MDAs too will take this bold step. The Power Circuit will continue to bring you more insights on the power sector from the Honorable Minister's desk in subsequent editions. Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Power have visited some ongoing power transmission substation projects being executed by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, in Kano State, where they committed to supporting TCN in delivering on the projects within the expected time frame.
Chairman of the committee, Honorable Magajidao Aliu, led the members to inspect ongoing works at the 2x40 MVA Walalambe transmission substation in Nasarawa local government area and the 3x30 MVA Rimin Zakara substation in Ngogo local government area of Kano State. At the 132-33 kilovolts Walalambe substation, Honorable Aliu said when the project, which started 15 years ago, is completed, it would boost the economic activities of many communities, especially the Dakata industrial area. He also said Rimin Zakara substation will contribute to solving power supply challenges in the state.
We have come and we have seen, and we'll be going back to Abuja to ensure that this project is continued. We'll equally involve His Excellency, the Governor of Kano State. We want him equally to come and see for himself. This project is going to add a lot of value. As now we are expecting the Siemens program to commence, it is our opinion this project must be completed before the Siemens project commences.
He also said the lawmakers will work towards ensuring speedy funding and speedy release for the project.
I assure you, we know how to find the funding. We know how to find the funding. The funding, inshallah, will not be an issue.
The Assistant General Manager, Kano Sub-Region of TCN, Engineer Muhammad Bello assured the committee that the Walalambe substation project was being executed by the TCN in-house engineers and that it will be delivered within the time limits.
All the equipments are available, almost everything is available, only the funds have been ready for the jobs. So we have started the first phase, which is 122 kV site. Almost the stringing and gantry erection has been completed. Now we are moving to the 33 kV site. Later when they release the funds, we continue the job. So at least you can see that we have completed the job, and we have done the job almost 30%. I'm sure 30%. So before maybe 8 months, we can be able to finish this job, inshallah.
At the 132-33 kilovolts Ribin Zakara substation, equipment and facilities for the project were already on ground. Engineer Bello said TCN has an agreement with Kano State government to clear right-of-way issues to complete the transmission line project that will supply bulk power to the substation.
The evaluation of the line has been completed since for almost 2 years. So already there's an agreement between the state government and the TCN that the TCN will pay the compensation for the land and properties. Well, some who has the plot, the state government will give them another plot.
What he means, on the plot
will be compensated by the state government. So that the where we now so we are waiting for the state government to allocate the lands before we start.
Honorable Aliu, who briefed the pressmen at the substation, said power supply was critical to industrialization in the state and Nigeria entirely, adding that TCN required more funding to complete power transmission projects.
We were made to realize that there are many projects spread all over the country. So we requested that they should give us information. I received the information only last week. The total amount of money to complete this project is 156 billion. That's quite massive. And we are looking at it now at the level of the National Assembly, and inshallah we worked hard to ensure to see that we provide funding. But we are going to look at priority projects like this one we are. This project must be completed before the year ends.
We'll be right back after this break.
Do you know that vandalizing power infrastructure and stealing its components have negative impact on government's efforts towards improving the nation's power sector? Say no to vandalism. Vandalism leaves TCN with the enormous task of re-erecting and restraining damaged power transmission lines and towers, which cost millions of naira to rebuild. Money that should be used for transmission expansion projects to make increased bulk electricity readily available to electricity consumers through the distribution companies. Do you know that vandals are destroying our common national assets, funded with taxpayers' monies, and negatively impeding our common socio-economic progress? Say no to vandalism. Do not condone vandals, because stealing parts of electricity transmission towers and cables disrupts the transmission of generated power to distribution load centers, threatening the national grid, your comfort, and ultimately the nation's economic growth. So don't just walk away. Be involved. Do something when you observe suspicious activities around transmission installations or even vandals at work. Don't just walk away. Report to any transmission office closest to you or any security outfit around your vicinity. Say no to vandalism. TCN enjoins you to work with us to stop the willful destructions of our collective national assets as we work to transmit increased bulk electricity in the most efficient and effective manner. This message is brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria. TCN, transmitting bulk electricity for national development.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, while harping on expanding bulk power transmission capacity, is also keen on improving power supply quality. To this end, TCN got a grant from the Japanese Agency for International Cooperation, JICA, to install capacitor banks at the 132-33 kilovolts Akko substation in Abuja and the 132-33 kilovolt Kefi substation in Nasarawa State to provide correct power factor that improves the electricity supply quality. In this special report, our reporter assesses how these devices have improved the substation's performance.
The TCN management commissioned the 1x60 MVAR capacitor bank at Apo substation and the 2x30 MVAR capacitor bank at Kefi substation in 2018. Officials of TCN said this has significantly improved the voltage and quality of power in those areas. In an interview session at the 132-33 kV Apo transmission substation, the principal manager Abuja Transmission Region of TCN, Engineer Musa Shuaibu, gave credence to TCN's decision of installing capacitor banks at the substations.
The capacitor bank is to improve the voltage at whatever level we are going to install it. Like in our own case here, we have it installed at the 132 kV side. That is at the 132 kV bus. So on the 132 kV bus here, what we normally get from Katampe, which is the source of supply to this place, we have from Katampe and Gwagwalada. We do get at times 124 kV. So when you install the capacitor bank, you tend to boost the voltage up. There's an improvement in the voltage here. So the issue of having low voltage from our own NER is eliminated.
From your first question, you responded that the Japanese government assisted the Nigerian government in this. Can you please expatiate more on this support given by the Japanese government?
Yes, there's a cooperation or a collaboration between Nigerian government and Japanese government. They go around not only in power, water supply, education, and what have you. So it's like they came in and asked, what can you do for us? And this was able to, before then that there used to be the issue of low voltage at Akwanga, which is far away from here. And after their own studies and with our own study, the senior planners had their own study. They felt, since this is the source of supply to Akwanga, then what they need to do is to start improving the voltage from the source, which is here.
There is now improved power supply in Abuja, Akwanga.
Yes.
Can you also say the TCN in-house engineers have enough training and are properly empowered for the installation of this?
Yes.
And the operation of the device?
Yes.
Across the substation?
Our engineers and the system operators, they were trained, I think they were given 2 weeks training on the operation and maintenance of this capacitor bank.
It's interesting to know that these engineers, these in-house engineers, they did not just receive training, but we've been seeing how well they've put in training.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Sir.
You're welcome.
Is there any other thing you would love to add to what you've said already?
Yes. My appeal to the top management, though it's on the ground now, that more training. And I believe with the present call, with the present management, I think that is one of the priorities. They want to see that people are trained. We don't need to bring in anybody from outside.
At the 132-33 kV Kefi transmission substation, the assistant manager, system operations, engineer Samuel Madugu, said, so far, the capacitor bank has contributed to improving the performance of the substation.
The capacitor bank has really affected the Kefi environment, because it's majorly connected to 132 kV line, parallel connected to the 132 kV line.
Engineer Madugu also explained that the Kefi substation gets bulk power supply from Akwanga and Karo substations on a 132 kV transmission line, necessitating the need for a capacitor bank to boost the voltage level for bulk power supply to its outgoing feeders.
With the voltage drop along to Akwanga, it will improve the voltage. To Karu, it will improve the voltage along 132. So it will have much effect on KV feeders, KV outgoings.
The 1st of August 2020 was a significant day in the growth of the power sector. That was when the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, recorded an enhanced all-time peak generation of 5,377.8 megawatts at 21:30 hours. The new peak, which surpassed the previous one recorded on February 7, 2019, by 2.8 megawatts, was successfully transmitted to the distribution load centers nationwide. The management team of TCN, led by the acting MD CEO, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, is working to improve on this record by implementing its transmission rehabilitation and expansion program. The Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, NELMCO, was recently commended by the Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, for clinching a gold level award from the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, BPSR. The award was for its outstanding performance on a self-assessment of its operations and liabilities management. In the interview segment today, the Managing Director of NELMCO, Mr. Adebayo Fagbemi, speaks about the operations of the agency and how it is clearing liabilities of the defunct PHCN.
I'm the MD of NEMCO. NEMCO is an acronym for Nigeria Electricity Liability Management Company. So I was actually made the MD of NEMCO in 2015. NEMCO was established as far back as 2010.
What have been the major achievement of this agency?
Well, thank you very much. The agency has achieved quite a lot, but in order to really understand the level of achievement, I think it's good to have an idea of the background of the agency. If you recall, during the power sector reforms, agencies such as NEMCO came up with the aim of warehousing the stranded debts and also the stranded assets of the defunct PACN pre-privatization. So our mandate actually stops before privatization, i.e. 1st November 2013, and in the case of Kaduna Disco, December 2014. So our mandate actually has to do with assuming those stranded debts and those stranded assets of the defunct PACN. The essence is to give the new owners comfort as it relates to anything relating to pre-privatization. So they don't have to lose sleep on that, and the essence is to enable them implement their business plan. So that we're able to achieve through some agreements. There's what we call the pre-completion liabilities agreement, which form part of the share sales agreement that government executed with those owners as an annexure. So that actually gives details as to anything that the DISCOs, the GEMCOs meet before privatization should be transferred to NEMCO. As I did say, the essence is to give comfort to them, to enable them accomplish their business plan. So that we've been able to do in the sector. I don't think any of the DISCOs or GEMCOs are losing sleep as it relates to pre-privatization debts. Imagine if that aspect have not been managed properly. With the current situation we're having in the sector, it could have been very serious, because everywhere could have just been litigations and litigations and litigations. But they are free from that responsibility, and we are managing it on behalf of government. That's why NEMCO is a special purpose vehicle created specifically for that responsibility. So coming back to your question, I think NEMCO has achieved to a reasonable extent that mandate in giving succor, comfort to the sector as it relates to pre-privatization issues.
NEMCO is the first agency to submit itself to self-assessment tool by Bureau of Public Service Performance. How were you able to achieve this feat?
Well, thank you again, my brother. When we got the circular on December 2019, the circular came from the Secretary to the Federal Government of the Federation through the Ministry of Power. You recall the agency is an agency under the Federal Ministry of Power. So the circular came in December. We subjected ourselves to the self-assessment tool. They were here in March, almost about 5 times. I checked every bit of our documents. As you can see, the award is gold level, is 86.5%. And we are told that among all the agencies that have passed through the self-assessment tool, there's no agency that has scored up to 86.5%. We are told that the first agency, among all the agencies that have passed through this self-assessment, to have scored 86.5%. I think all the glory will go to God Almighty first, for giving us the strength and the enablement to carry out our work, and also to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Mohamed Buhari, for supporting us in all things that we do. The Vice President as well, who also happened to be the Chairman of the National Council on Privatization, and members of the National Council on Privatization, and also the Honorable Minister of Power, whom we report to, for giving us all the support. And our other critical agencies, the DISCOs, the GENCOs, TCN, the National Assembly, will be very supportive, Senate, House of Reps, and also my team in NEMCO, who submitted our report. The report is also before the National Council on Privatization for consideration. What that means also is that it's part of the support to the Honorable Minister to see that those liabilities are off TCN books, so that TCN can be able to access funds to be able to meet its transmission needs.
So what is your message to Nigerians about prospects for the power sector?
Yes, a lot of prospects for the power sector. We shouldn't be tired, we shouldn't give up. We have the resources to achieve power for Nigerians. There are phases in life, generally in everybody's life, both personal or even corporate bodies. I believe that Nigerians should just be patient. The sector is just passing through a phase, and they should be hopeful, they should be optimistic that power will be available to Nigerians.
That was the MD of NEMCO, Mr. Adebayo Fagbemi. He said Nigerians should be optimistic about improved power supply. Thanks for staying with us on the interview segment. That is it on this edition. Here are the key features again. Reps tour TCN transmission substation projects in Kano. We brought you a special report on how TCN's capacitor banks improve power supply in Akpo, Kefi environs. Hope to see you next week on the Power Circuit. You can view this episode and subsequent ones on TCN YouTube channel. You can also interact with us on these platforms, so you can support TCN in advancing its mandate. Remember that the coronavirus is not a hoax. Tens of thousands have died around the world, and I bet you would rather stay safe. Then observe the NCDC guidelines and do not ignore them. Please stay safe and stay alive. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. See you next week.